Well, Jake Berry, we're looking at the last four playoff teams. It's a big time of the year. We've made it this far. Do you notice something that's similar with all four of the remaining surviving Valley playoff teams?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, we thought they were done a long time ago. East, we thought midway through the season they lose 3 games, that's it, they're done. Mission Vets loses. We thought they were done.
Four.
Yeah,
Right.
we thought they were done. It's been very telling to see how they've rebounded and come back. I mean, all the teams have struggled and come
Those
back.
Fresno's had a 3-game losing streak. Theirs was early.
Yeah.
First, third, fourth, and fifth. East lost that game at Economies after impressive wins over Memorial and San Benito. And EdCouch, there was a point in time when they were trying to hold off Don Pace and Don. I guess the bottom line is the teams that solve their problems, because every team's going to have them. The team that solves their problems and gets on the roll at the right time, they always use the cliche, peaking at the right time. Well, these 4 teams are, because if you look at our, 3 best teams down here, we would probably say were Harlingen, San Benito, and Villa, and none of them have survived to the 3rd round, although the 2 teams we're going to talk about in 6A that did not win put up great struggles.
Yeah.
They really did.
Yeah, and it's all about matchups. You come into this one, I mean, Los Fresnos had a very favorable 2nd round matchup. Weslaco East, very favorable matchup, playing teams that they were familiar with somewhat.
Yeah, that's right. The rematch against Del Rio turned out pretty good. This time they did what they had to do, and the magic continues for Mike Brigette and the Weslaco East Wildcats. Well, let's start with East and Del Rio, because they beat them pretty soundly, 31-13.
Yeah, I was up there for that game, and it looked like it was going to be close at the beginning. Del Rio could really run to the edges. And then all of a sudden, Weslaco East, the same thing they did against Villa, they started running the ball up the gut, and they made big plays. I mean, big runs, big passes. I mean, incredible, because even Coach Brigette joked about it afterwards. What, East pass?
Mm-hmm.
They can pass. The kid can win. You saw it.
I'm telling you, he can throw, and what I say last week, run that tape back, I think they may come out throwing. No, they didn't necessarily do that. Pedral's another 200. And J.C. Vargas apparently wasn't just the last second guy. I read that he had 19 carries, he had 100 yards. So, they just played the same way they've been playing, with a lot of intensity and desire, from what I understand. And they beat Del Rio pretty soundly, 31-13. Although I think they scored a little bit late. But would you say it was an impressive win?
I do, and sources up in the press box told me that Steele's coaching staff wanted to face Del Rio because, and this is just from what I'm hearing, they said that they didn't want to get ready for a BS offense.
Mm-hmm.
So, having said that, it's only BS when you can't figure it out.
Yeah, and when you don't have but a week to play and a week to practice, it's going to be a little harder than not. So I can understand why they would rather have Del Rio as more traditional. So East is on a roll, and you have to wonder. I heard they've had some injury issues, but here's another thing. Every team at this point in the game will have some down kids, some injuries. We're going to talk about EdCouch in a minute, minus one of the best receivers in the Valley. So, again, the old cliche, the not so old cliche, next man up. Okay, now who's that person going to be? If you play in a place where there's 4 teams in town, you don't have as much depth. Yeah. But if you're Los Fresnos and EdCouch, man, you do have some more kids that are ready to play. And, we'll talk about who's going to fill in for J.J. Flores later on. So East now gets the rematch with Steele from 2 years ago. Steele is a pretty good team, man.
Yes, very good. Look, you don't go through what they've gone through and not make the next round. Having said that, East is going to have one of those games that they had the last 2 weeks. They've already beat. I think they told me they beat 6 number 1s this year or something like that. I can't remember who those teams are, but they beat tough teams. And you look at it, we didn't think they were going to beat Bella. No. We didn't think they were going to beat Del Rio.
They got the magic going right now. Now, if they can keep it going in that first quarter, things might be okay. The problem is that teams that are playing on borrowed time, and not saying they are, but potentially they are, they turn into a pumpkin and can get real ugly real quick. So what do they have to do to avoid that 50-10 situation? Because this is one of the best teams. They lost to Lake Travis by a narrow margin. They beat Judson, they beat Smithson Valley. It's a great team, man, with college athletes on it.
Yeah, look, you got to kill momentum, any kind of momentum that Steele gets, but you also have to kill the clock. Do exactly what you did in the last 2 games. Run the ball. And one thing, they go on 4th down, and when you have a big quarterback like Lefevre, you can, or at least the first 2 rounds, you were able to pick up those necessary 1 or 2 yards that you needed to get the first down. Whether or not you can do that against Steele is another story. And pass.
Yeah, you're going to have to throw the ball. And then why not throw it to JC, and why not throw it to even Pedraza? In other words, they may come up with some things to confound Steele and make them think, oh, we thought they were going to do this, but they're really going to do this. It's not that you want to throw the game plan out the window, man, but just man against man, that's going to be a hard thing.
Yeah.
So if they keep the magic and the energy and the desire, then hopefully they won't make too many mistakes and they'll be able to stay in the football game. But we're talking about one of the best teams in Texas. 84% winning percentage, and it's 11th seed. They've been in the state. They won one state in 2010, and they've been in the semifinals at least 4 out of the last 5 years. This is not the best team Steele's ever had. The quarterback's solid. They got a real good young running back, but they can be had. They only beat Vanderbilt 17-0, where they gave them 86 yards of offense. So the defense is sound. They've had a few problems the last couple of times scoring. So let's see what the East defense can do. I mean, it's not the world's biggest group, but they're good tacklers, and so I'm not willing to say I think they're going to get killed. They could get killed.
They could.
But I'm not saying they're going to. Now, the winner, this is weird, the winner plays Churchill or United South. So it's an infinitely tougher matchup here. If East should somehow manage to beat Steele, then they can win the region.
Yeah.
Because I saw United South, and they're pretty good, but they're not incredible. And Churchill can't be that good.
Yeah, and thank God for the win. South was able to have the win late in that game against San Benito, and that's the reason they were able to pull that win off.
The wind, you say. It was an ill wind blowing no good. But I'll tell you this. Both Harlingen and San Benito got down big, but they didn't panic. So I'm saying to you this. We're showing not only increased strength and increased size and speed, etc., but increased guts and the ability not to crater. Because in the old days, I've seen teams get out there against upstate clubs and you get down 14-0 and you turn tail and run at 60-10. But these guys, both Harlingen and San Benito, have so much pride that they were able to come back from deficits. It was 14-0. See, here's the deal. Up at United, I sure it must have been 35 miles an hour. Well, I mean, the gusts up to 40, the kind of wind where it was like blowing people's bags away that had stuff in them, you know what I mean? San Benito against the wind, they gave up the short field on some punch that just went whoop, almost over the kid's head. 14-0. But then they turned around with the wind. It reminds me of, you ever watched a soccer game with the wind?
Yeah.
How many goals can you score before you have to turn around and defend? Well, 2 for South. But San Benito was up 21-14 at the half because they used the wind to score 3 times. Amazing. South was coming in to score. A kid intercepts the ball for San Benito and he runs it all the way back to the 40 with the last play of the half. Bing, a long pass from this kid, Retta. 50-yard touchdown. And he runs out, he catches it, he runs through the end zone. It was almost like Pearl Washington. Remember?
Yeah.
Syracuse against Boston College and the freshman? When he made that 50-footer, just kept running off the court into the locker room, won the game. But San Benito's problem was this. They did the right things for a half, but then they didn't score again.
Yeah.
At all with the wind. They had their chances, too many penalties, kicking game, special teams were poor. But the Greyhounds had fought back, and they had a chance, man, with a minute and a half against the wind, just trying to run it out and get to OT. And just the worst sound in the world when it's a punt snap. What you don't want to hear is bum bum, because that means, and then the third one, and the kid scoops it on the 2, and that's all she wrote, man.
Yeah, especially with little to no time left in the game, there's just nothing you can do.
Brutal, man, totally brutal. I feel for San Benito. Coach Dan Gomez did a great job, got his team back in the 3rd round. Could have won the game. I feel like he knows that they had execution problems. They've had problems with the kicking game all year. And which is funny because for the last several years, they had a heck of a kicker there for a while, a couple of them, you know? And it's not anything personally on the kids that are there now. Sometimes the kicking game doesn't work because of a snapper and a holder. We're not here to speculate. We're not here to pick on anybody. But that was their Achilles heel. And Armando Garza told me that before the game. He said, I just hope they can, do the right things. And, because other than that, they outgained them. They forced 3 turnovers, didn't turn over the ball. I thought San Benito really should be playing in this game.
And real quick, I don't even know. I was trying to figure out the rules on this. When the kid from United took the ball on the punt and just whipped it back, and San Benito picked it up and just started running, and they whistled the ball down right away.
Yeah, well, they made a couple of strange calls, illegal touching or not, and it was kind of a strange thing. I thought they did a pretty good job. Let me tell you, United South was quick.
Yeah.
And I did not think that they were that fast, but they were. And they were quick, and those little kids were popping people. Man, I think that, it was even Steven in terms of hitting, because let me tell you who was amazing. 31. Skylar Garcia was all over the place. He was killing people. And I know about Emilio. I know about, what's his name? Payne Guajardo, who had one of the interceptions. But this kid, Skylar Garcia, has gotten a little bigger, and he was crushing people, man. He had a great game. You know, they play without that little 90, that defensive man. He would have made a difference around that left end is where South made their living when they did. But you know what? It was just a hard-fought game, and it came down to a few mistakes, and South made the play and they move on. But I think San Benito deserves a lot of credit. All right, like I said, it should be Churchill against San Benito, and the winner to play Easton Steel.
Yeah.
Ah, dang, man. But I think they showed people around the state, they don't take us lightly no more.
Yeah.
They don't say that's a Valley team no more, because you know what? We started to play with them and beat them. All right, now, Los Fresnos. Coach Brown said last week, you heard him, we were standing there with him, looking up at him, big boy. He said, if we play the way we did tonight, we're going to get blown out. We need to step it up. So
They didn't play like that. They played like men. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, they played great defense, and they, you know, that's the one thing about that team. When Mata is able to operate, when he can get out into the secondary and just into the linebacker, he'll make his cutbacks and he'll find himself 3 extra yards, 4 extra yards, or more.
158, 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick 6 at the end of the half, but they survived that. When you're playing well and you got the roll going, you can make a mistake and come back. That's another example of a team that we have that had the character to rebound from adversity. Because you don't show me a team that plays a perfect game. It doesn't exist, man. Look at the pros. They're messing things up right and left. I'm listening to the Texans. They were on the 1 yard line. All of a sudden, they're on the 12. So, I mean, you know, you can't expect a perfect game. What you can expect is your kids to be tough enough mentally to have learned how to say, okay, now what? We're going to do this. And so that's what they did. I'll tell you this, man. Those Fresnos, they're playing. If you think Steel and East is a hard game, I would submit that the wider point spread is probably be had with Lake Travis and Los Fresnos.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah, and it's not the first time an awesome team has played Los Fresnos in the 3rd round.
No, it didn't. You know, Los Fresnos also played Reagan a couple of times at San Antonio. This is the toughest game they'll ever play.
Yeah.
Because Lake Travis is going to win the state.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, you know, I'm making a prediction, but I think they're going to win it. They are the ones that beat Steele. They beat Westlake 49-7. They're only
Yeah, Westlake is
still
kind of
alive,
good.
right?
Yeah,
Kinda.
kind of good. Yeah.
So now what you have is a case of the only loss was to Judson, but that was the first game, and so they haven't been touched since. They averaged 56 points a game, and you remember Lake Travis for a while was untouchable on the lower level. They won 5 straight state championships starting in 07. Now what people don't know is who do you think turned that program around? Because the first 20 years of its existence, they didn't win nothing.
Somebody from the Valley.
That's right, who had been in the Valley.
Yeah.
Jeff Dykes, and you Mission fans might remember him, especially Urban Taylor and them in 02, man. They went 3 deep, had a great team, barely lost to one of those New Braunfels schools. Dykes went from 02 in Mission to Lake Travis from 03 to 07, whereupon he then went to Duncanville. Excuse me, I'm still sick. I don't know if he regrets that decision, but bottom line is he got the ball rolling. Now Lake Travis, they won 5 state championships. Last year they lost in the finals. This year, you know, and they had 2 or 3 years after 11 when they weren't that great, but they're back to their old tricks again. And I really could see them winning state. So now what about Los Fresnos? What are they going to have to do? Is it like East? Play a perfect game, which is impossible?
Yeah, I mean, look, you're going to have to play darn near perfect. And Mata's going to have to play probably the game of his life. The whole team is going to have to play the game of their life. Have we seen that happen before? Yes. We've seen teams all of a sudden, you know, catch fire and everything rolls right. I mean, Harlingen, when they beat, what was it, Warren, you know, everything went right. 2 picks was to start the game
Boom,
off.
boom, touchdown.
Yeah.
And,
you know, you need those kind of moments. You need those moments that people can't even script in a movie.
Well, I'll tell you what, Los Fresnos has already proven that it's resilient. Because they had that 3-game streak, and we counted them out, and here they came again. I thought North had a chance to beat them, but they didn't. So that team is playing well. Who will they play if they win? Oh, well, Westlake United.
Yeah.
I think Westlake's going to beat United. I think this is the end of the road for United, although, man, it should have been the end of the road against the Cardinals. That must have been a great game. We were getting the updates. Harlan's getting killed. Harlan's not getting killed.
Harlan's
in the head. We're like, yeah. And let me, the funniest thing in the world, I have to tell it, and I got my homeboys in San Benito, you know that, from back in 1902. But when they announced the Harlingen score that they were coming back, some other fans were like, and it was great. I mean, usually we would be like, everybody, all right, the Valley's winning. And I turned to one of the players and I'm like, I understand. He laughed because he knows they're not going to root for Harlingen. They'd rather root for the devil. And I'm telling you, that's all there is to it. That made me laugh. Because I didn't take any offense with it. I mean, look, you don't think Harlingen was hearing that score like 14-0? I got that. You know, whatever. Man. That's beautiful.
There's no love lost.
No. There's no anything. It's just nothing but hatred. Man.
One thing I will say is, and I hope that in the future this happens. Fans, sit down and appreciate what's going on. Don't get out of your seat and leave early. That's just, it's kind of your team has had a nice run. Support them all the way through.
Yeah, you know, there are just some fan bases that are so passionate and emotional that they just can't deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the positive response I have. Because, yeah, I noticed that, you know, it was kind of strange, but, you know, you go that far and you make that trip and the kids are all keyed up and then the problem was the way it happened was so jarring.
Yeah.
If you're getting beat in the second quarter and you don't ever catch up, well, all right, you get time to deal with it. But if you're going to overtime, it's like that. If you're getting ready to go to overtime and all of a sudden, boom, 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 that's it. A block, punt, I mean, there you are. There's no way, you know. I think it was a shock to the system. And I also feel like those fans thought they should have beat them, and I think they're right. And I know the kids think that too. You can tell they were just kind of pissed because they let it get away. But in the second round, you got to play quality, all three phases, all four quarters, and San Benito just had some lapses, and I think if they played 10 times, they could beat them at least 5.
Yeah,
maybe 6.
So too.
But again, and they were saying this, they're fast. Man, United's at that little 12, their running back was zoop around the corner and
Not big,
nothing.
nothing fast. But, you know, for San Benito, they're pretty much juniors coming back, so, you know, look, the sky's the limit next year.
No, they're going to be tough. Those Fresnos, one thing I'd like to suggest, no, I don't want to suggest, in my opinion, they got to throw. They got to throw that tight end.
Yeah.
And they got to throw to Salazar because he has not been able to get sprung in these last 2 playoff games. He scored some touchdowns against North, in fact, all 3 of them. I think, or 2 out of 3. He has got to get the ball. So in other words, but the things that you run, they're not going to work against Lake Travis. They're too fast, they're too big, they're too good. So you got to find ways to get tricky and get all those kids the ball. Because if Mata tries to scramble and do his thing, he's going to get killed.
Yeah.
What he's going to do is if he throws the ball and opens it up, then he can run the football, man. Because, you know, against a team with 5 or 6 kids that probably get signed, you know, those holes ain't there.
Yeah.
And they look like they're there, and you're going and boom, they catch you from behind, and the backside end gets you by the foot, and it's minus 1.
Yeah.
Whereas against whoever fill in the blank Valley team, is 15 yards out of bounds, he tosses the ball to the ref. They've got to get used to the speed of the third round and the speed of a team that's a top 5 team, you know, nationally ranked at a certain time. So I know that those guys will come up with some crazy stuff. Not that you want to start pitching it around like you ain't got no chance, but I mean, what I'm saying is that head to head it ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
Neither with East and Steel. So let's see how they come out though, man.
Yeah.
Harlingen was down, 23-7 or something? All of a sudden it was 26-23. They blocked a couple of punts. Man, I was hoping they could win.
And special teams is kind of been their, you know,
For years.
Yeah, it's kind of back
years.
in games, but, you know, for the 6-8, you know, that's where we're at.
Cannot complain.
Yeah.
2-1 and 2 were ahead late before they let it go away. So man, I was very pleased. Now we move on. How come I ain't coughed all day, and when I get in front of the camera, I'm getting sick? Because I'm sick of having to go to basketball. I want to watch football.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we'll take a break.
Okay, we'll take a break. So I can go blow my nose.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We'll take a break, come back, and we'll have the 5-8 when we come back.
Sweetness and light. Well, I think it's an intriguing matchup. Like you said in part 1, Jake, I mean, if there's a matchup that seems doable right off the bat, it would have to be Ed Couch against Victoria East. We're not trying to give them a kiss of death, but they're going to go at it at Alamo Stadium Friday night. I think it's a pick 'em, man. I really do.
I do too. I mean, look, you look at this game, and we've talked to some of the coaches up there at Victoria East. They've lost. They've lost to Vela, which the next week Ed Couch also beats them. So, you know, you look at that, I mean, I guess they're telling us that Padilla got, Carl Padilla has Ed Couch 1-point favorite over Victoria East. And really, it's going to come down to, if you look at it, how well Ed Cauchowski can run the ball.
Yeah.
Because that was the Achilles heel against Vela for Victoria East. And, Ed Couch is running the ball well in this.
Their defense has gotten better, but it still gives up 30-something a game. They score 45 to 50 a game. Obviously, the Vela score was 63-62. They lost to Angleton, who's a great team that was upset. We're going to talk about it in a minute. They lost to Foster, that Richmond Foster, who probably has a pretty good chance to win the region, if not state. So Ed Couch is playing a team after beating King 58-28, right? No,
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah, Ed Couch beat King.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So then now they're playing these guys, and they've averaged 46 points a game in the last 5 games.
Yeah.
There was a point in time when they lost to Vets. I was there.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to Mercedes. They didn't show up as well. But then they got together. I think the key was beating that Lopez, that upstart, and from there they haven't lost 5-0, scored 50 points a game almost. So they can hang with East. East is a pace team. They just run up and down the field. They run a ton of plays. They throw the ball. They got legitimate players. That Zap we saw last year in the second round from East against Vela, he can throw the ball. They got 2 receivers that are super fast. One of them's tall, one of them's short. They average 23 yards a catch between them, have like 30 touchdowns. It's legitimate on it.
Yeah, and the key for Ed Cauchowski is, do you fold right away? If the going gets tough, do you fold? And that's going to be the key. It can't be like it was against Brownsville Vets, where you got down and you just
kind of didn't really have the best biorhythm game. You know what I mean? No, they're going to have to keep the ball, and they're going to run the ball like they have. Well, from what we understand, J.J. Florida's out for the year. Big time injury, that's too bad. But the other kid came on, did real well. So they've got weapons. And look, that's one team that has talent to burn. So yeah, it's tough losing that kid, man. But there's some other guys that can play. I'm interested to see how their Lions control the line of scrimmage. But see, it's hard. The Lions are almost disqualified when you play a pace team that runs a ton of plays, because by the time you get back there, the ball's out.
Yeah.
There's no rush in the passer. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ed Couch come out with 6 defensive backs.
Yeah.
I mean, run the dime on them, man. I mean, they don't run the ball that much.
Yeah.
But it's a winnable game. I really feel that it is. And if they win here, Ed Couch will play Borney Champion or Cal Allen. Now, Bernie has got a 1 loss, and Cal Allen's got 1 loss. They're both pretty solid teams.
Yeah, and Cal Allen went out last week and decimated Mercedes.
Yes, they did.
Missing the key player, whether here or there, for Mercedes. But Cal Allen's a good team. But right now for Ed Cauchowski, they just got to worry about this next game, which is Victoria East.
Oh, it's going to be a fun night, man. I really feel like they have the way they've been playing, the points they've been putting up on the board. You know what they do? They got their swagger back, man. And a team like Ed Couch has to have that kind of, we got it. Now, if they win, this is exciting. I spent the last several hours or a couple of days ago rereading about the '97 team. Chris Cavazos was a guy who came from Hidalgo. He'd been in Port Isabel and Hidalgo. He took over for Robert Vela, who went to Edinburgh High that year. And the team that he had was amazing, man. They went 13-0. You know how many points they gave up in district? 36.
Wow.
Yeah, they had the best defense in a long time, man.
5 shutouts, right?
Yeah. And another one in the playoffs. They had the best defense probably since the Bobcats back in the 80s, man. And then they had a kid, Chano Alvarado, had about 1,700 yards. Ricky Salinas was a defensive guy, had 20 sacks. Sammy Halomo was a great defensive player. And then he had some linebacker, 222 tackles, 13 sacks, 3 interceptions, player of the year, all-state. Help me with the name. Who was that name?
Ricky Salinas.
No.
No, which one?
Joe Mighty Salah had you set up. Man.
Oh.
Come on, baby.
I'm
He didn't do his homework.
You know what?
That was Joe's team.
Yeah, and by the way, let's just talk about this real quick. Sign him up. Give him, I don't know how long your contract's gonna be, but if you wanna look regular season, that's fine. You can look at regular season, but postseason.
Second year in a row, man. Second year in a row, and they faced their adversity. Tell me a reason why Ed Couch will get to the 4th round, because they have a chance, man. And by the way, they played that game in McAllen. I think it was December 6th, '97, and Cal Allen beat them 28-7. They beat them pretty good. It was a great Cal Allen team, but that's one of only 14 teams in the Valley to ever get to the 4th round. Are they on that list?
I think I'm saying it's a golf term. Drive for show, putt for dough.
Oh, yeah.
And look, in the playoffs, Ed Couch is the best putter that you can have. I mean, they come out and they play. They finish off games.
Yeah.
And that's, we were talking about a team last year. I was at the Cedar Park game. They played really well. In that, in against they were
Against the state
undermanned.
champ.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you this much right now. This team, if they don't win this game, it's not gonna be because of lack of effort.
I think they can beat them. I really think the Victoria East has come as far as it's going to go. And Ed Kowski, look, but I'm gonna tell you what, it's going to take 45 points. Because Vets will score, East will score 35 or 40, I guarantee it, man. They're just too good. So what you got to do is you got to make your possessions count. Because if you let that team get ahead of you, they'll run you out of the gym, or out of the field, off the field. But if you get on them and crack them and turn some balls over, they're not the toughest team. In fact, they're a lot like Vela. That's why them two teams played a 63-62 game where they're going behind the back and shooting threes, man. So if Ed Couch, and again, if Ed Couch is a more physical team, mentally tough, forced turnovers, there's no reason why they can't make history and go back to the fourth round like they did in '97. They beat Austin Lanier that year. My damn alma mater. I wasn't unhappy about it, but I was a little bit wistful. Anyway, so I hope that happens. And here's the best part about these matchups. We don't have to worry about not being homers.
Yeah.
Some of I was at the San Benito game, man, and I have to admit I was acting like a dummy. I was running around getting all fired up and crazy and getting all mad, cussing at the refs. Is it just me, or is every game slot receivers and wideouts are offsides and no one's home?
Yes.
Oh my God, South looked like I felt like I was watching the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Man, they were in motion every damn play and nobody called a thing. I saw the same thing 3 or 4 times in the Valley games. I think the refs are looking at the core of the play, and meanwhile these cats are sneaking around like mice in the cockroaches in the bathroom. Man, it's incredible. Either that or I'm just losing my eyesight on my hair. All right, now let's talk about David Gilpin real quick because he made a great quote in the paper. He said, "I never coached before after Thanksgiving." Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, now he's got a chance. So tell me, that's over Flower Bluff, 28-14, 28-14.
Impressive 28-14.
Yeah, it was a solid win. I'm not going to say that's not an easier draw in a certain sense. I knew both 5A teams could win. It was just a matter of them continuing the magic, and they both did. Diego had a game, accuracy-wise, you're probably not going to want to write this one down.
Yeah.
But it made it count for 268 and 3 touchdowns. And look, we said it last week. When a team has this many athletes, they can beat you if they play great. That's why Ed Couch won with Marco and his guys, and that's why Mission Vets won because, if it's not Spider-Man, Jacob Guerrero, then it's Romano underneath, or it's Buda Gonzalez on the flats, or it's Landry Gilpin's got 12 touchdowns. They got a lot of weapons. Here's to me, I think it's going to be important as they play Dripping Springs, the Tigers, and more about them in a minute. They have been horrible the last 4 years. It's the best team I've ever had, and it ain't that great. Johnny Martinez, 73 yards against Flower Bluff running. They need to get that again. They need to get 100 yards rushing, okay? Because if they do, then they're going to start coming to the middle, and then Diego's going to pick them apart, man. Because when he gets a moment, he can kill you. He's going for 4,000 yards, 41 touchdowns. He's having one of the best seasons in the history of the Valley. He really is. And why not? Because he's being coached by one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the world.
So real quick, also Roman De Leon finishes the season with 70 receptions.
72, yeah,
72.
so far. Over 1,000. Yeah, most in the Valley. He's got the second most all time, I think. And let me tell you another thing about that kid. I've mentioned it before. Whatever you need, he'll do. He'll pop you, man. That kid is an all-around athlete. I'm very impressed with him. See, that's the thing. Those are 5 or 6 kids that are some of the best we have in the Valley. So why wouldn't they, if they put it together, play well? Dripping Springs is good, okay? Let me tell you about Dripping Springs and my cheat sheet here. They've lost 1 time all year, okay? And they beat Angleton 12-11. See, really, Vets caught a break.
Yeah.
Because Angleton's better than Dripping Springs. But Angleton somehow managed to toss that one away. 12-11, that's a weird game.
Yeah.
That almost sounds like the Indians and the Twins and the 11 innings.
Yeah.
That's weird. So, no team in the 3rd round is easy. But to me, that's a better matchup than Angleton athletically.
Yeah.
Of course, the team did beat them. That's who Vets play. So you can spin it positive or negative. Dripping Springs, 5-5 last year.
That Dripping Springs almost sounds like it's just a disorder.
Yeah, it really does. You can get a pill for that, I heard.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. They've never been that good.
No.
This is the best team they've ever had. They've never even been close to this. I think one year, 2011, they went 3 deep. But in terms of history, Vets has a better pedigree than these cats do, man. You know where Dripping Springs is outside Austin? Little country boys.
Oh,
Yeah, I think 30 minutes outside Austin. We used to go to a little hunting place over there way back when the world was young, my dad and I. I'm not scared of Dripping Springs. Yeah, it's a good team. Here's the thing, it's all on Vets. Will they run the ball, and will they continue to get pretty decent defense? Because, you know, that's one of those groups that, much like Baylor's defense, is maligned a little bit. But I think they have some athletes. That Sergio Guerrero, number 8, is a very good-sized player. Can make a lot of hits. That sophomore Joey Garcia, man, he's got a ton of tackles. They got some guys. They haven't had, I'll tell you what Vets has not had. First of all, they haven't had the best of luck when it comes to injuries. Remember the last 4 years? But they also they've had not a great defensive line.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have that one huge guy, like that one year they had that 56 kid, 52. These guys are more perimeter. The end is good, and the safety's good, and the one linebacker, Badalas, my guy. So they're not bad.
Yeah.
They're just going to have to dig in and play well against this Dripping Springs team who will come at you with some size. They're going to be big. They're going to be the biggest team probably, I think, that Vets has seen. But I know it doesn't scare Gilpin, it doesn't scare Vets because they feel the magic. See, that's the common thread through all 4 of these teams. None of them are supposed to be here. And that's why they're here, because they didn't listen to all the pundits saying, they are on a losing streak, they're out of the game. No, they're not out of nothing, man. These are the teams representing us. Which of the teams will turn into pumpkins, and which of the teams will keep the magic going? That's what it's all about this week.
Amen.
Hey. Okay, so then, I know I'm getting on my soapbox again. Friends, like a pack of wild dogs. So, bring back some LT, you know, without the jail time. So, Foster and Eagle Pass win. Foster's going to kill win. And Foster's going to beat whoever wins this game, I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Unless lightning strikes and, you know, Thor comes down from Hildegard. It ain't going to happen. I mean, you know, I say that and I probably shouldn't, but I mean, there are certain things.
Reality sets in.
Indeed. Okay, so the Valley is up against Lake Travis.
Steel. Yeah.
Dripping Springs.
Yeah.
And who else?
And then
Who's that catch play? Victoria East. They scare me about half the time, and they make me laugh about half the time because they're not a great football team. I'm telling you. But Ed Cow's better not take them lightly. I think they're going to do it. I think that team's going to go to the 4th round. I hope I'm not jinxing them, but I just feel it. You know, they're a team that gets on a roll. They play with a ton of pride. They've been calling them La Máquina since Hugo de la Cruz made it up in the 70s. He got it off of. Well, it's a long story.
Yeah.
But I want to say something. Maybe if they win, I'll tell you the whole story.
Okay.
All I can say is that we're super excited because remember last week, okay, we got 9 teams, possibility we're 4 and 5, man. You know, St. Joe goes out 62-28. I think it was closer than that, but
Turnovers.
Yeah, they turn it over and they just, you know, that team played real well and deserved it. I hate to see them to be so bad. Who else went out in the second round? Lyford, right?
Lyford went out, yeah.
And then Harlan and San Benito, which, by the way, as I want to repeat this because they both deserve credit for playing very good games. They got down, they didn't panic, they came back, and so they made the Valley proud because some other teams walking out the stadium like, gee, well, we're glad that's over. All right, what else is there, brother?
That's it. I mean, we'll be back next week. Hopefully, something
to say, man. I mean, why not? You gotta believe it. Why not? I know it's an uphill struggle, but stranger things have happened. I know them teams now, they don't look at us lightly, man. They really don't. So let's see if we can't get into that. I like to write some history, you know, what this team made it past the 3rd round, because it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
Bobcats did it. Ed Cass did it. We're going to run down the list next week. Mission did it.
Yeah.
PI a couple of times. So there ain't that many teams, right? Corey Detman knows about getting there because I watched him do it. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Have a fun Thanksgiving. And when you play football, high school football, after Thanksgiving, you're a good team. Prove it.